thought I would come out here today for the first time in a long time with my gardening bag and some tools to tend to the garden. She has not been tended to in a minute. She's going pretty wild. Honestly, I haven't tended to the garden in a really long time. It's really overgrown. There's a lot of, dead and diseased plants, but there's also still a ton of food out here, which is just really awesome to me that, I put in the work in the spring and during the summer, but sometimes, life just gets away from you and you have a busy schedule, and I haven't had time to be out here tending the garden, but yet there's still so much food out here, which is just really cool to me. So I'll show you guys what's going on out there. I also brought a basket. Probably I'm gonna need more than one basket, but I have a basket for harvesting some things. I think I might have some beans and possibly sweet potatoes. I'm gonna dig around in the sweet potato bed and see what's in there. I also brought a bunch of seeds. I'm gonna pull out some seeds that I'm wanting to start direct sowing in the next days and not really weeks, because I don't have that much time, but basically in the next week I need to really start getting some seeds in the ground. First I want to go say hi to the chickens. Hey girls. Hey chickies. How are you girls doing today? How are you girls doing? Hey Rosie, Crooked Toesy. Hi, hello. Hi. You're very interested, aren't you? Hello. Hello, Dorothy. Hello, Blanche. Hello, Rosie Crooked Toesy. See if I can get a shot of your crooked toes. She's got crooked toes. And I was a little worried about her crooked toes when we first got her, but they don't hinder her at all. She does all the necessary chicken stuff. And Dorothy, Sophia, and Sarah Sriracha. Alright, let's go see what we can find in the garden. So, the flower and herb garden, I never ended up reclaiming it this year. It is a wild mess. I'm really hoping, once everything kind of dies back in the winter, I'm going to reclaim this flower and herb garden. Because 2 years ago, it was a really lovely space. And it's still got herbs in it. There's a really big rosemary. I've got tons of oregano, thyme, lemon balm, yarrow. There's even a few turmeric plants back there. But yeah, it's just impossible to get in there and harvest anything, because it's just such a wild mess. And look at this pumpkin. Like, this pumpkin here is from the pumpkin plants planted way over there on that trellis. The pumpkins spread everywhere, and I've got some big pumpkins to show you. There's one. There. It's a pretty pumpkin. There's another one. There's another one back there. And I've got several more of those Mesquite de Maroc pumpkins hanging up from the top of this trellis. There's another small one towards the bottom. They're just everywhere. This pumpkin is truly prolific. Check this out. I had cucumbers growing up here, and I planted the peppers you know, that's a whole patch of just pepper plants. The peppers learned how to climb the trellis on their own. Like, I did not train this pepper plant. It just grew up and wove itself in and out of this trellis, which was really crazy. I didn't know that the pepper plants would climb a trellis. I'm gonna be harvesting some of these peppers while I'm out here. So this is Sugar Rush Peach hot pepper. They are really fruity and tropical, kind of similar to habaneros, and they're very spicy. As far as the Scoville units go, they're kind of in the middle between a jalapeno and a habanero. So they're pretty spicy, but they're manageable if you like spicy food. I have a ton of these, and I'm going to make some hot sauce with them soon. I just think that's so cool that they're climbing this trellis. Wow, look at all those peppers in there. So many peppers. Oh my god. Some red jalapeños, some green jalapeños, and these purple bell peppers. To pick all of these are ready to harvest. And these are just a really sweet purple bell pepper. So I'm wading through these pumpkins to get to the rest of these peppers. I've already gotten a lot, but check out how wild this garden is. This pumpkin plant is just growing right over into these peppers. Oh my gosh, check that out. That's the pumpkin growing right over the top of the pepper patch. Man, these pumpkins are aggressive. Over here on the other side of the pepper patch, I just found these huge bell peppers. Wow. So it's like, even though this garden's going crazy, the pumpkins are taking over the peppers, there's still so much food out here. Gosh, I feel like I'm gonna lift this up and find a ton of peppers under there. So much food. So I harvested all of the ripe peach peppers that I saw and the bell peppers, because I know that probably tomorrow I'm going to make some hot sauce with the peach peppers, and I'll use the bell peppers fresh and then chop the rest and freeze them. But I'm gonna leave all the jalapenos that I see on the plant for now, because I know I don't have time to process those right now, and they're better on the plant than slowly going bad in my refrigerator, so I'll save those for another day. Now I'm gonna go inside and get some mosquito spray really quickly, because I thought that all the mosquitoes had gone back to HE double hockey sticks where they belong, but apparently they're still out here and they're hungry. Emptied out my basket so I can get more. Check out all those peppers. Check out all my eggs too. All right, covered in bug spray now. Check out these beans. So this is kind of a mess of purple beans and lima beans. A lot of the purple beans I've left on here to dry. I say left on here like I did it on purpose. I wanted to harvest them and I never got the chance. But now the pods are getting dried out and starting to get crunchy, so I can harvest these ASAP and get the dried beans out and save the dried beans. And I came out here yesterday and I harvested a ton of lima beans and cooked those for dinner yesterday, and I've still got a ton more. Our first frost date isn't usually until around Halloween. maybe a little after. So we haven't been getting too cold at night. I think it's been low 50s, maybe high 40s at night. So we're probably still, you know, I say 2, 3, 4 weeks out from our first frost. So I should be able to harvest a lot more lima beans and peppers and all these before the first frost. And look at all this glorious basil. I've used a lot of this basil, and there's just so much of it. It smells so good, and the bees love it. Where'd you go? The bees love the basil flowers. Wow, it's quite a spider web. And so the tomatoes obviously look awful, and I haven't been getting very much at all, but I did get one, oh my gosh, I did get one last Dr. Witchy's yellow tomato yesterday, and we've been, I mean, we're kind of, I think it had been several weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks even, since we'd had rain. And if you don't know, when it's dry, your tomatoes, the flavor's more concentrated because they're not full of water, so that flavor and those sugars are more concentrated. So that it was a little small Dr. Witchy's yellow tomato. Ah, mosquito on my head. Ugh, terrible. I didn't put mosquito spray on my head. But it was perfectly ripe. It was dark yellow, light orange. It was so delicious. I just sat out here and ate it in the garden, and it was so fruity, so amazing. Definitely one of my very favorite tomatoes. And I've still got there's a lot of cherry tomatoes ripening out here, and there's a lot of green tomatoes still on the vine. You can see a few larger green tomatoes in there. So still a few cherry tomatoes here and there. That one was really sweet. Blue cream berries. This is my favorite cherry tomato. They're really sweet right now. Let's see. This is corn. It hasn't been cleaned out yet. This is amaranth that I honestly need to harvest these heads. I don't know if there's still any amaranth seed left on there, but I need to go ahead and bring that in and see if there's anything to salvage. I mean, look at all this pumpkin. This is from 2 or 3 pumpkin plants that are planted on that trellis, and it has just completely taken over everything. It's pretty incredible. And I've been harvesting some of these pumpkins early and using them like a summer squash, which is something I didn't know you could do until this year. And I've got some okra plants over here. Oh my gosh. Don't judge me, guys. I've been gone. I went on vacation last week and I came back to these humongous okra pods, and these are like, you typically don't eat okra pods when they're this large. You eat the smaller, tender ones. When they get this large, they just get tough, but I don't know. I might try and harvest them and just like cook them until they're tender. Some Jing orange okra, but you can see all of the okra has lost its leaves. Okra doesn't like cool weather. It really prefers hot weather. I have a few little zucchini plants over here that are doing all right. I harvested 2 zucchini. There's another one coming along. Another one. I don't know. Hopefully I'll get a few more zucchini. Just look at that wild, magnificent garden. It's definitely, if you can't stand clutter and chaos, then this is not the garden for you. And typically I can't stand clutter and chaos in my house, but in my garden I'm just here for it. It's full of life, it is thriving, it's full of food. It's just chaos. All right, it's starting to rain on me a little. Before I go inside, I'm really curious what's going on in the sweet potato bed. So I got some gloves and I'm gonna try and wade through the weeds to get to the sweet potato bed and see if we've got any sweet potatoes. This is my first year growing sweet potatoes, and the plants are definitely dying back now. All right, so I've got this fabric garden bed. It's about 12 inches deep. It's a big wide circle. It's full of sweet potato plants. Big old weed here. Try and get that out of the way. Yeah, first time growing sweet potatoes. Really interested to see what's under here. I think you just pull. You're supposed to pull it up. See what's under there. Oh, I see a sweet potato. Sweet. Hell yeah. Woohoo! Wow. That's my first sweet potato. Huh. Whoa. What else we got in here? Wow! Oh my gosh. Look at that. Wow. That's crazy. So cool. Oh, there's one. Another pretty small one. Oh, it's so tiny. Alright, so I would set you guys up a time lapse, but my child broke my tripod. So I'm just gonna dig the rest of these up and then I'll show you what I harvested at the end. Alright, I'm gonna hold this camera and point it at mommy. And don't press the buttons, okay?
I won't.
Alright, point it at mommy and this. I had a little garden helper come out here and help me. So she's holding the camera while I pull up some of these sweet potatoes. Alright, you ready, Ava?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
You found one.
One little one. There's a big one. A big one. Can you point the camera at me? We can give these vines to the chickens, Ava.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you, babe. All right, so I finished digging around in the whole bed, and this is my harvest. That's a pretty good bit of potatoes there. If I would buy a bag of sweet potatoes at the grocery store, this is probably at least 4 or 5 bags worth of sweet potatoes. So it's not a ton, but I was just growing in this little fabric raised bed here. And you know, I didn't water it a ton. I didn't take great care, but I still got some food. For my first time growing sweet potatoes, I'm really impressed. These are like a Korean gold sweet potato, I believe. So I'm very excited to eat some of these fresh, and I'm gonna have to look online and see how to cure them, because I know if you're wanting to store them long term, you need to do some kind of curing process, like laying them out and letting them kind of dry and letting the skin toughen up. But yeah, super thrilled. And now that this bed is empty, I'm gonna be plopping some seeds in here pretty soon. Probably some beets and maybe some radishes. And yeah, look at this mess. This is terrible. I need to get in here with a weed eater. But if I go ahead and put some seeds in here, then like give it a good water, put some seeds in here, then that's gonna be motivation for me to come out here and clear all this out. Hold myself accountable. Because things would still grow here, but they need as much sun as possible, especially going into the shorter days of the winter months, so I need to clear all this out. I need to harvest some of this purple basil before I go inside. It's so beautiful. It's a heavy basket of sweet potatoes. Still love this tunnel. Tunnel of beans. Uh-oh, dropping sweet potatoes. That's a good sized pumpkin. Like that's, I don't know, maybe one day this week for dinner I'll come and harvest this and cut it in half, roast it a little bit, and then make like a filling with chicken or ground beef and rice and cheese, peppers and onions, and then stuff the halves and then roast it some more. I love roasted squash for dinner. My tripod's broke, so I have the camera sitting precariously on my wooden garden fence, so I can talk to you guys. All right, let's talk seeds and fall sowing. So I'm gonna pull some seeds and show you the kinds of things I'm gonna be direct sowing in the garden as soon as I can get some spaces cleared. So the things I'm gonna be growing are gonna be cold hardy, because we are obviously very close to the first frost, very close to winter. So anything that I'm planting right now has to be able to withstand a frost. And that's gonna look like root vegetables, some greens and brassicas like kale, broccoli, cauliflower, rutabagas. So let me just go through here and see. Chiji Masai is a green that's really good, and I'm gonna have to double check and see if it's frost tender or not, but I'm gonna pull it out, set it aside, because that may be one that I can plant. Some lettuces, I'm gonna go ahead and plant some lettuces. You can, they're somewhat frost tender, they're somewhat frost hardy. You can cover them pretty lightly and the lettuce will be fine. So I have a couple varieties of lettuce. This Merlot lettuce is gorgeous. This is one I haven't grown before, Marvel of Four Seasons lettuce. I've heard that it's amazing and that it's really great and all year round, almost all year round. Some mustard greens, definitely gonna plant some mustard greens. That's another lettuce. Kohlrabi. Not sure if I should plant kohlrabi or not. What does it say? Ideal temperature 45 to 80 degrees. So direct sow in rich soil every 2 to 3 weeks from 2 weeks before last spring frost to 2 to 4 weeks before first autumn frost. So that's perfect. We are 2 to 4 weeks before the first autumn frost. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant some kohlrabi. Cilantro, go ahead and grow some cilantro. Likes cooler weather. But it may not be frost hardy. I don't know, I'm gonna plant some and see what happens, because I don't know when exactly my first frost is gonna come. And I've never done it before, so I'm gonna try it and see what happens with the cilantro. I'm gonna sow some beets. Got 2 kinds of beets. I love beets. I put beets in fresh smoothies and juice. But you can also roast them. Some people like to pickle them. I've not done that yet, but radishes also. Got 2 kinds of radishes. Radishes also, like, they're not just for salad. Roasted radishes are incredible. They're when you roast them, the flavor becomes much more mild, and they're similar to roasted potatoes, honestly. Turnips. Definitely gonna sow some turnips. And some chard. I don't use a ton of chard, but I might just grow it to give the bunnies something to eat so they don't eat everything else. So I can sow arugula. Arugula really likes cold weather. Spinach. I grew spinach for the first time in the spring and was thrilled with growing my own spinach. Rutabagas. I know I can plant rutabagas even though it'll be my first time to do so. Now I would love to get some broccoli. I would love to grow some broccoli. I tried to grow it in the spring, but maybe I didn't start it early enough. So the more I think about it, the more I'm going to do like an experimental bed. Since I have enough space, I'm going to just find somewhere where I can do an experiment and plant the things like the Brussels sprouts and the broccoli, just direct sow them and see what they do in my climate. So you don't know until you try. Let's see. Cabbage, same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and direct sow the cabbage and see if I get any cabbage in the spring. Onions. I do believe I'm going to start some onions. Also garlic. I have seed garlic inside from garlic that I grew and harvested. I harvested the garlic this summer. So I need to take a few of the largest cloves and plant some more garlic this fall. I'm gonna double check, but I think I can plant parsnips now and harvest them in the spring. Not sure. I'm gonna check on that. I actually did find some rainbow carrot seeds. I thought I didn't have any. I have a few. Might try some of those. All right, here we go. We got the kale. It's like, it says cabbage, but it's kale. I mean, they're related. Maybe technically it is a cabbage, but it's not a head cabbage, it's a leafy cabbage. Russian red ragged jack kale. That's one of my favorite kales. I love scarlet kale as well, but I have a lot more luck with the Russian red ragged jack. So I think that's it for vegetables and things, but I am going to plant some flowers. There are some cold hardy flowers like alyssum is a good one. It's actually a brassica, so you can actually eat it. Apparently has like a really pungent sort of flavor. Might be good to add to salads, but it's also a really pretty like ground cover, and it's a great companion plant, which it'll, like, you know, you can plant it around, you know, in between, you know, rows or around plants, and it'll keep, you know, the weeds out. It'll suppress the weeds and also benefit the plants growing around it. What are some other cold hardy flowers I can plant? Calendula. Calendula is pretty frost hardy. Hopefully I can get the calendula and the alyssum to grow and add some color to the fall winter garden. So that's it. That's a lot of seeds that you can grow in the fall and winter. This lemon balm smells so good. Some of it's growing through the garden fence here. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today as we went on a little garden adventure. If you learned something today, or if you love this chaotic, wild, messy garden as much as I do, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm gonna plant some of these seeds in the next few days, hopefully all of them. And I'll make sure to make a video in the next few weeks, and give you an update on how that's going. But Thank you so much. Happy growing.